Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of this series, and this audio podcast series is part of the Storm and Smash Up. This audio podcast is part of the Consular and Shout Out, and this audio podcast as part of the specials and a Storm Logistics production. So, listeners and viewers Storm Robotics production, there in case you haven't if anyone in case anyone hasn't had a chance to check out this synopsis, this audio podcast is sort of the intro as part of this audio podcast series. This audio podcast series, and this audio podcast series is or this sorry this intro is sorry this audio podcast series and this intro, and this works sort of this works the works in as part of this audio podcast series is attributed to a science student at an academic institution in the United Kingdom, UK, and where the science student and Bohtha had developed some initial works and sort of draft writings in around looking at PTK6 and BRK in tumor development. PTK6 is in a sort of abbreviated as protein tyrosine kinase 6, and BRK is abbreviated. BRK is abbreviated for breast tumor kinase. Now both kinases are important in different forms of tumor development, in aspects of tumor development, and in line to where tumor development can form different forms prompt different forms of cancers. So the science student and Bohtha in their works had looked at the cellular and developed their works in around the cellular localization of breast tumor kinase and protein tyrosine kinase 6 and tumor development. So a bit of intro. Tumors are also known as or referred to in pathology as neoplasms, and there are mainly two forms. There are mainly two forms of tumors. There's benign and malignant. So benign, which are those are sort of tumors that show abnormal growth of abnormal growth of particular cells and forms and at the same time can form where the particular forms of abnormal abnormal growth of tumor cells can form lumps in specific regions, in specific or particular regions, but do not expand beyond that area. Malignant tumors, which are also known as cancer, and this is where there's abnormal cell growth, abnormal cell growth or abnormal histopathological abnormalities or growth that spread beyond that area it was originally developed. So that so another way to sort of iterate this, listeners and viewers, is that where you have abnormal cell growth, or where there is abnormal cell growth in context of malignant tumors, it is where if, for example, there is abnormal growth in one part of pathophysiology, and then it moves, or that tumor growth then spreads, for example, to another part of pathophysiology, then the terminology that sort of is used amongst sort of clinicians and is used in amongst, for example, pathologists and sort of lab specialists. For example, is where that sort of that sort of spread from one part of pathophysiology to another part of pathophysiology is the terminology metastases. So when there's abnormal cell growth and that abnormal cell growth metastasizes, it is where that malignant tumor moves or spreads, thus causing or can thus thus then can prompt sort of further abnormal cell pathology. So in some cases, benign tumors can be developed into. In some cases, there are bases where Bohtha sort of as part of their works informs that benign tumors can develop into malignant tumors. Cancer is one of the cancer, sort of generally speaking, is one of the highest or leading causes of death across the globe, and breast cancer is perhaps the most diagnosed form of cancer amongst females. The breast tumor kinase, or BRK, BRK is also known as is also again referred to as protein tyrosine kinase 6, or PTK6, which is found in where there's overexpression in nuclear or cytoplasm in many cancers, such as breast cancer, in addition to prostate cancer and colon cancer and gastrointestinal cancers. Or sort of BRK sort of expression is also often used or utilized to detect kinase to detect different other forms of cancer. So in this sort of drafted works and well developed works, initial well developed works by Bohtha, is where the science student explains or looks to explain how BRK location is important in cell growth, and where BRK inhibitors contribute towards BRK inhibitors or pharmacotherapies contribute towards offering sort of treatments in around elements of cancer. So that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast is part of the probe. This audio podcast is part of the Ztorm and Smash Up, and this audio podcast as part of the consular and shout out, and this audio podcast as part of the specials, and this audio podcast as part of a Ztorm Robotics production.